In 1995, in a dingy back room of a casino, security was meticulously reviewing camera footage. They've lost over $500,000 to cheaters in just 1 month and are desperate to find out how. Suddenly, they notice a man on the footage. His face familiar. He has won $25,000 in the last hour. Suspicious, they drag him into the back room, convinced he's cheating, but needing evidence to prove it. This is the story of the ultimate casino cheater who's never been caught. In the summer of 1976, a giddy 21-year-old named Richard Marcus arrived in Las Vegas with a case full of $100 bills, having won $30,000 on a trifecta at the race course. He feels like a high roller, but within a week, he's lost everything. Homeless and living under a bridge on the outskirts of Las Vegas, Richard is desperate. He bluffs his way into a job at the Four Queens Casino on Fremont Street. One evening, a sharply dressed man approaches Richard after his shift and offers a compelling proposition. With nothing to lose, Richard trusts him. A few nights later, under his guidance, Richard turns a blind eye to a player's right hand at his table. That night, they scam the house for over $21,000. This experience sparks Richard's curiosity about the technique used, leading him to discover late betting. Late betting is a straightforward yet effective cheating method. It involves placing a bet after the outcome of the event is known. This technique is usually performed by a team of 3, though sometimes more. Typically, 2 players sit at the table while a spotter observes the overall situation from the side. When the spotter gives the nod, player 1 places an initial low-stakes bet. If the bet loses, they do nothing. If it wins, both player 1 and player 2 spring into action. Player 1, using sleight of hand, switches their initial low-stakes chips with higher value chips. Then, player 1 leaves the table, and player 2 immediately takes their place, claiming they were paid incorrectly. This sequence is designed to confuse the dealer, who is now dealing with a new player holding a considerable stack of chips. For his initiation, Richard takes on the role of player 2. From a distance, he watches his spotter signal player 1. It's a winning bet, and the switch is on. Richard nervously swaps places with player 1 at a busy roulette table, quietly placing his stack of $500 chips in front of him. He then clutches at the dealer's wrist, claiming he was paid wrong. The dealer, stunned by the aggressive overreaction, pays out instantly. It's a successful cheat, but Richard realizes he needs to avoid being so heavy-handed to avoid drawing attention. Throughout the late 70s and early 80s, Richard, now more experienced and confident, continued to make big money through late betting. However, his arrogance catches up with him. After making a few late bets, security pulls him aside, accusing him of cheating. He's bundled into a back room and confronted by staff from Griffin Investigations, the most prominent group of private investigators in Vegas. Inside, Richard is panicking, but outwardly he remains calm and collected, prepared for this moment. He offers no comment. After an hour of high-pressure intimidation tactics, Griffin Investigations can't find any concrete evidence of cheating. They let him go, but now Richard's cards are marked. But before we go further with the story, please take a moment to like this video if you want to know the whole story of this ultimate cheater. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to never miss a video. Now let's go on with the story. This risky episode leads to a turning point. Some members of the team retire, while those who wish to continue must adapt quickly. Richard takes charge, adjusting their strategy. The major changes are twofold. First, they cease all activity in the Vegas area, planning trips to casinos in Monte Carlo and London to let the heat in Vegas subside. Second, they double down on their surveillance, studying the casinos and their staff meticulously. They learn who the hot and soft dealers are, their traits, and shift patterns. This elaborate preparation changes the game, allowing them to continue their scams more effectively. Back in 1995, the casino security team was racing against time to find evidence of cheating. The familiar face they've apprehended remains calm, knowing the importance of preparation and the value of knowledge. The ongoing cat-and-mouse game between casinos and cheaters continues, each side trying to outsmart the other. The cheaters, led by seasoned individuals like Richard, adapt their techniques to stay ahead, while casinos continuously improve their security measures to catch them in the act. A year earlier, in 1994, Despite banking nearly $3 million the previous year, Marcus and his team felt the need to expand and enhance their operations. Richard was actively seeking new team members who were not only skilled but also trustworthy. By chance, he encountered an old friend, Mark Abramowitz, a relentless gambler with a deep knowledge of the casino landscape. Recognizing Mark's reliability, Richard shared his ambitious plans, prompting Mark to reach out to another old friend, Pat Mallory. Pat was a crucial addition. He was exceptionally confident, charismatic, and had the demeanor of a high roller, making him the perfect candidate for the high-stakes chip switch operation. With some training, Richard believed he had assembled the ideal team of misfits. It was time to test their skills. Their plan was bold: to start small and gradually move up to switches involving $5,000 chips at Caesar's Palace. This was unprecedented territory. The team took their positions, and when the time was right, Richard gave the nod. However, in a last-minute twist, a tipsy Pat decided to go straight for the big money chips. The bet was placed, the ball landed, and despite a slightly clumsy switch, no one noticed. That night, they walked away with $100,000. The following morning, feeling hungover, the team reflected on their overzealous approach. They decided to reduce their average stakes to avoid drawing too much attention. Over the next 6 months, they stole hundreds of thousands of dollars. But one night, things went wrong. As Pat was being paid out on a $10,000 bet, an angry pit boss intervened, calling over other staff members. Amidst the commotion, Pat slipped into a restroom, where he tore off his clothes to reveal a second set of lightweight attire underneath his high roller suit. Sweating profusely, he hurriedly exited the restroom. Although it was a near miss, the team knew that casino camera operators would eventually piece it together. They needed to adapt quickly. Marcus and Pat discussed their problem in a strip joint. Marcus had a soft spot for one of the dancers, Savannah. As he tipped her $100, an idea struck him. To beat the surveillance cameras, they needed to switch their strategy from swapping out winning chips to swapping out losing ones. Formulating the correct execution was crucial. After hours of brainstorming, they devised a simple yet effective technique. They planned to place high-stakes bets from the outset. A stack of 3 chips would include 2 $1,000 chips at the bottom and a $25 chip on top, positioned slightly closer to the dealer. If the bet lost, they would switch the stack for 3 $25 chips, acting drunk and dumb if questioned. This tactic was less suspicious since casino staff wouldn't scrutinize losing chips as closely. Additionally, a team member would now act as a caller next to the roulette wheel, creating a distraction when a switch was needed. If the bet won, they would simply let it ride, thus avoiding any cheating and confusing anyone reviewing CCTV footage. This strategy minimized risk significantly. The only potential issue was if the dealer noticed the initial chip placement. Eager to test their new approach, they headed to Caesar's, starting with $5,000 chips. Lady Luck was on their side, and Richard didn't even need to make a switch for the first few bets. Pat, now acting as the caller, was ready to yell "damn it" and cause a commotion when a switch was necessary. Recognizing the unique opportunity, Richard and Pat immediately brought in Mark and explained the new strategy. Over the next 4 months, the trio repeatedly scammed the casinos, raking in money night after night. Meanwhile, casino security teams and investigators from Griffin Investigations were in disarray. They knew they were being cheated out of over $500,000 per month, but couldn't figure out how. Despite reviewing hours of CCTV footage, they found nothing. By the end of 1995, the casinos were desperate. A grumpy pit boss confronted Richard at the roulette table. The dealer informed the pit boss that Patrick was winning big, but had never noticed the $5,000 chips before. Instantly, Patrick was dragged into a side room. Having been in this situation before, he knew the stakes were high and the danger real. They roughed him up a bit, but he stayed silent, awaiting the review of the tapes. After several hours, Marcus sat there, unsure whether to laugh or cry. Back in the control room, security reviews Marcus's bets repeatedly, but can't figure it out. Unbeknownst to them, Marcus didn't switch anything. He didn't need to because it wasn't a losing hand. Bemused, they return and release him with a warning. Richard tries not to laugh. The house is powerless. In the following months, casinos change tactics. When they suspect the Savannah move, they refuse to pay, knowing a real gambler will always complain if shortchanged, while cheaters will walk away to protect their identity. For 5 more years, Richard Marcus and his team used the Savannah move worldwide, banking around $30 million. He was never charged with a crime in 25 years and claims to have stopped. But you have to ask yourself, would you? This was the story of Richard Marcus and his associates. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Also take a look at our channel because there will be more videos that you will find interesting.